Yo, what up? You know I had to talk about your boy Nico. Nico, Nico. Let me make sure my mic is on, man. Last time I just recorded, my mic wasn't on. So let me just make sure that we on and popping right now. Man, Nico. Listen, man. You in trouble, brother. You are in some trouble, my man. Listen, I am not one to actually I am. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't like people to get fired from their jobs. I don't condone or promote people to get fired from their jobs, but in certain cases, what I don't like is this incompetency, stupidity, and being a dum dum. And in this case, Nico Harrison was all of the above. Now, after the fact that you probably made the most surprising, dumbest trade in franchise NBA history, okay, you actually went on in a press conference and told people that you didn't know. You had no idea how much Luka Doncic meant to the organization and the fan base. You can't make it up. You can't make it. You, as the GM, had no idea. You had no idea. No clue. No clue. Everybody in the world knew. Everybody in the whole world knew. Anybody who knew anything about basketball, besides you and the owners, obviously, had an idea about what you felt and how the fan base felt about Luka Doncic, but you did not. You had no clue. But let me tell you something. I think you did have a clue. Let me tell you why I do. Because of how you did it. Because of how you went orchestrated the trade. Nobody knew about this, reportedly. Nobody knew what was coming. Everybody was shocked. Why was everybody shocked? Why did you go so cohort, as they say? Why was you so incognito, as they say? Why were you under the radar, as they say? Why did you do all of that? Because you knew damn well what would happen if you announced to the fan base and you announced to the NBA world that you were trading Luka Doncic. Because you could have got way more than what you got. Okay, because you traded him for an older player that wasn't as good. All right, that's the facts. We'll get to that in a second. But that's why you did it. That's why you did it. Because you knew what was going to happen. You knew the blowback that was coming. You knew how the franchise was going to react as far as the fan base is concerned. You knew all of that, which is why you told no one. Which is why you told us you did not tell a soul. Don't allow me to interject a few good men. Nobody knew. Nobody knew whatsoever. You had to keep this a secret because you understood what would happen if you let this go public. But let's say, for the sake of argument, that I believed you. That I say, you know what? You had no idea. You had no clue that the franchise is gonna, the fan base is gonna act like this. Let me tell you what you did know, Nico. You did know that you had a top 5 player. You knew that. You did know that said top 5 player was 26 and not even in his prime of his career. You knew that. You did know that you were trading for a guy who's not only 6 years older than Luka, but also more injury prone than Luka. You knew that. You also knew that Luka just recently led you to the NBA Finals. You knew that. And with knowing all of that, with having all that information, you still decided to say, you know what? I'm going to take our homegrown player. I'm going to take our generational player that we drafted. These are guys you dream about. These are guys that you dream, that you say, listen, we're going to draft them. They're our guy. We don't have to trade for him. He costs us nothing. We can groom him into our system. We can raise him, and he becomes a generational player. Not just a top 5 player, but a generational player. This is what you dream of. So even knowing all of that, you decided, I'm going to go ahead and move him. I'm going to go ahead and move him. And to me, that's stupid. So that's what you did know. That's what you did know. So even if I believed you, which you don't, you did know that. And knowing all of that does not permit you to do what you did. So again, it comes back to the incompetency, the stupidity, and the dum-dum of what I'm talking about. Now, as far as the owners are concerned, Dumont, I do not think he's not a basketball guy. They're not basketball people. And I believe this. They weren't 100% sure what was going to happen. I think you sold them a dream. I think you told them, hey, we don't have to pay this guy $300 million. We'll be a better team. We'll be better defensively. We'll be a better squad going forward. And we'll be okay. And they said, how will the fan base feel? But they'll be hurt. But once we put the team out there, as you said, once we put it out there, and we win games, they'll be okay. They'll be okay. And I believe you sold him that. And I believe he believed that. And I don't think he had any idea what was going to happen when you traded Luka Doncic. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, and this is something that you did know as well. Mark Cuban's on record, and I'm paraphrasing, I'm basically saying he would divorce his wife before he traded Luka Doncic. That is the previous owner of the Dallas Mavericks. You knew that as well. So you knew if he knew that, the previous owner, if he knew how much Luka meant to him, the Dallas Mavericks and the fan base, if he knew that, again, you knew that. But you sold the owner something that they didn't know. And that's why they got you parading out there to answer for yourself. That's why they sitting back saying, listen, this ain't on us. This is not on us. This is on you. You did this because you told us something that wasn't true. You sold us something that wasn't true. And you thought you was slick. So go ahead, slick. Go ahead and go out there and talk to these people. Because we got nothing to say about it. Yes, we A-okayed it. But we A-okayed it based off of what you told us. And what you told us was incorrect. And you knew that. And that's why you tried to move so sly. That's why you tried to move like nobody so nobody can know what was going on. That's why the Lakers were shocked when you called them. And you did what you did. So that's why you're out there on your own right now. That's why you're doing it. And listen, when Nico said, listen, he's not wrong in the sense that he's saying, hey, if my team was healthy, if there's a healthy Kyrie, and there's a healthy Anthony Davis, okay, there's Derek Lively, there's a Klay Thompson, that is a championship caliber team. And I don't disagree with that. That is a team that can compete. But at the same time, when is this team ever going to be healthy? When was this team ever going to be whole? Okay? Anthony Davis gave you the Anthony Davis experience, ladies and gentlemen. He gave you the true Anthony Davis experience. Man, his first game for Dallas, he dropped 40. You going off. He got the double-double going. And guess what? Limps off the court. Limps off the court. Because that's what Anthony Davis does. I mean, the true experience, the whole experience, the great Anthony Davis and what you get with Anthony Davis. Off the court, hurt. He been hurt everywhere. All right? What was the thing in L.A.? Didn't come in shape. Didn't come ready to play. Wasn't serious. His best season was a year ago when he played 76 games. But other than that, the guy's hurt his whole career. And then what happens? The play-in game. Yeah, the play-in game. The last play-in game that you need him. You need him. The Memphis Grizzlies. Guess what? The Anthony Davis experience again. He gave you 40. Oh, yeah, he going off. And then what happened? Limps off the court. Limps off the court because that's who he is. I'm not saying this is not a bash Anthony Davis thing. It's just who you are. You're a guy who's not healthy and not available. And you traded a guy who wasn't even in his prime yet because he smoked some hookah, okay, or because he don't play defense. But yet he led you to the finals for a guy who can't stay on the court. So when you tell me just wait till the team is going to be hot, when is that going to be? When is that going to be? I have to wait at least until half of the season because guess what? If you re-sign Kyrie, he's hurt. Another guy who's always hurt, who's been hurt in Cleveland, who's been hurt in Boston, who's been hurt in Brooklyn. And guess what? He's hurt in Dallas. And guess what? He won't be available for half of the season. So when are you going to be whole? Are we waiting for Kyrie to be ready for half the season next year? Are we ready for that? So then we got to wait till he's healthy 100%. Then we got to hope that he's in basketball shape. Then we got to hope that the other guy who can't stay on the court, that he's healthy at the time. So when exactly is this team going to be healthy? When is that going to happen? Because we're already starting off next year unhealthy for half of the season. Maybe longer. Who knows how these ACLs do? We don't know. We have no idea how they're going to react. We have zero clue whatsoever. So when are you going to be healthy? When is that going to happen? And see, these were all things that were predictable. We were shocked about the trade, but none of us are shocked about what happened afterwards. None of us are shocked that Kyrie's hurt. None of us are shocked that Anthony Davis is hurt because this is who they are. Okay? And as a GM, you have to know this. You have to know. I'm not saying that Nico Harrison has done bad things. He's done some good things with Dallas. He definitely has. He's still the guy who put together a lot of that team that got him to the finals last year, but was led by a guy that you let go. And to say that you didn't know, to say that you had no idea, that is like to say it out loud is almost GM malpractice. It really is. It is almost GM malpractice. How can you not know? You're paid to know. You are paid to know. This is your job. And again, this is what I'm talking about. Listen, I can deal with a lot of things, but I can't deal with these three things: incompetency, stupidity, and being a dum-dum. And just doing stuff that's totally idiotic that doesn't make sense. Now, this is happening in the NBA. This has happened. I don't know what's going on in the NBA, but you got guys like Memphis firing their coach. You know, they think they're going to get better. They did not. They've been sliding ever since. You got Denver, okay, who fires their coach. They haven't even had 2 years. They are a year removed from a championship. The only championship in the history of the program. And they said, you know what? 3 games remaining. Let's fire them. So, Nico, you're not alone. Doesn't absolve you in it, but you're not alone. But again, when you're incompetent and you're stupid and you make dumb decisions, I have an issue with that. So I'm not saying that you should be fired. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying they're going to start looking. They're going to start looking because this is a franchise-changing move for the worse, not for the better. Because you sacrifice your franchise guy that has at least 10 to 15 years of runway, okay, for a guy who probably has 6 years, maybe. I would give him 3 to 5 with his injury history and hoping and praying. You're not going to win that, my man. You're not going to win that, and you knew better, and you should have known better. As Samuel L. Jackson said, you better should have known better than to do something that stupid. And now it's going to cost you. And now it's going to cost you. So what you didn't know, let me tell you what you're going to know. And that's what a door is. That's what you're about to know. Because you're about to be out of here, my dude. You're about to be gone. And if I'm the Dallas Mavericks, listen, I'm going to tell you this. If I am the owner of the Dallas Mavericks, I got to send somebody out there. I got to send somebody to Luke and say, yo, we fired this guy. You coming back or what? You a Maverick for life. I didn't know, but now I know. I'm not a basketball. I'm talking as Dumont, not as myself. I'm not a basketball guy, but now I know. If he going, you back, bro. I'll bring you back no matter what. But if he got to go, he got to go. I'll fire him tomorrow. I'll fire him before I hang up this phone. Before I send out the last text, he fired. If you tell me you on your way back. And you know what? Even if he doesn't say that, he's not going to survive this. Nico's not going to survive this. The press conferences have been too bad. You've looked like you don't know what you're doing. You look like you just have no clue of what's going on. And you cannot be that tone deaf when you run a franchise. You can't be, because you're paid to know those things. You're not only paid to make moves. You're not only paid to make the team better, to make the proper transactions, to make sure the team's in the right space financially. You're paid to know what the fan base wants. You're paid to know when you have a generational talent in the building and understand that you cannot, under any circumstance, let that guy walk out the building. You cannot. You cannot do it. And since you did, and since you willingly did, and since you went out of your way to do it, you went out of your way to fire yourself, brother. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. You did it to yourself. And again, this was such an avoidable move because at the end of the day, this does not make you better in the long haul. If you want to talk about defense, listen, Nikola Jokic is the best player in the NBA right now. He is not the best defensive center in the NBA. He's not close. He's not close. Not even close. And you're not trading him for anything, for nothing. It will never happen. They are not trading that guy. I don't care. Because they're not that stupid. They may have fired their coach, which was stupid and dumb, but they ain't that dumb. Okay, and when you do something like that, that's what you look like. You like not only you ain't be that dumb, but you ain't that dumb, but you look that dumb when you do something like that. So again, you may not have known. You may not have known. But you know now. You know now, and you about to know where the door is, because that's where you headed. My bad, Nico. It's on you, brother. But it is what it is. You just can't recover from a move like that. You cannot. Because again, it was stupid, it was idiotic, and it was uncalled for. And I feel bad for the Dallas Mavericks fans and what they have to go through because of your selfish, idiotic move that made zero sense whatsoever. And you knew it made no sense, which is why you consulted nobody on the deal. Because you knew it didn't make any sense. And you thought you were the smartest guy in the room, but now you're the dumbest. But at least your contract is guaranteed. So there you have it. But we out of here on Nico, man. We go on Still Broke Podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Like what you hear, like what you see. We catch you on the next one. Still Broke. We out of here. Peace out.